Welcome back. You are still watching Morning Live. A local and international business speaker and author Pavlo Phetides' latest book is titled Sweat.Scale.Sell. Build your business into an asset of value. Pavlo shares personal and practical real-life stories from individuals that have overcome challenges that most entrepreneurs face today. The book also offers a hands-on guide for building a winning small business that can be sold. Pavlo is here in studio with us to shed more light on the contents of his book. Pavlo, it's great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for coming.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Firstly, I want to start about this passion that you have for uplifting entrepreneurs, for uplifting particularly South African businesses. What's behind that passion?
Well, you know, I was born to entrepreneurs. My father was an entrepreneur. Two uncles were entrepreneurs. They had to be. They're people who arrived here with nothing. They fled from where they were originally. And because they never had perhaps the right surname or the right networks, they had to start their own businesses. And they worked hard. They were committed to what they did. My father worked 5 days a week. On Saturdays, he worked half a day. On Sunday, every Sunday, it was doing the books. They put us through school, fortunately. They were committed to trade organizations. They worked with the government to try and create a more conducive environment for business. They looked after their colleagues, their staff, their suppliers, their customers. It was a lifestyle. And yet, my one uncle worked until he was 89 years old, the other until he was 86, and my father worked until he was around 78, and he would have suffered a very similar fate had it not been for an intervention. They did so because they had to, and I could not figure out why was it that three people who were so committed to what they did, who did the right thing, who worked hard, who stuck to one thing, could not get to a point where at the end of their careers, they could successfully sell a business which forms the pension that looks after them and their families into the future.
Pavlo, and I guess that's where the asset of value comes in for business people, to create something that is going to sustain you, to create something that is going to grow beyond you. Won't it define it in simple terms for us non-business people, what it means to create an asset of value?
So you're absolutely right. It should be the single purpose of every business owner. And the reason is, it's what pays off for the years of sacrifice and risk that you take. So an asset of value is a business that competes effectively in a very competitive environment. All small businesses today face many, many competitors. But what makes you special? Even in a tough economy, even in an overcrowded space, it's easy to define what makes you special. Secondly, it's a business that, because it has got good systems and activities in place and processes and a good team in place, it can survive without you, the business owner. And that's important in order to make sure you build a business that can be sold. Because if I come to buy your business and I see that you are the reason the business exists, are you for sale? You're not for sale. And that's why 94.6% of businesses started right around the world fail to ever sell.
Wow. The Sweat.Scale.Sell method, take us through that briefly.
Look, building a business, I don't care what anyone says. There's a lot of romance around it.
Yes.
But you have to sweat. It is hard. You're going to face no more times than you face yes. You'll be pushed right to the edge of your ability. You face fear and you face dissent on a continuous basis. If you think about it, when you create a business, you're looking to compete with people who are already there. So you have to win over customers. You've got to compete with your competitors. You've got to convince people to come on board. It is hard in the beginning. But once you get going and once you've sweated it out, which means that you've stuck to doing one thing, you've deepened your knowledge, you've deepened your activities, you've become better at it and more interested in it yourself and more committed to it yourself, then you have to scale. And what scale means is, if I build my business up to a certain level, how do I double upon it or increase it by 5 times or 10 times? And there's a very particular method to do it. And why is all of this important? Because of a day, Pearl, you, me, whoever it may be, you need to be able to sell. You need to be able to sell so you can get the return for all the risk and you have a legacy and a pension to look after yourself in the future.
Sure. There's a shocking number, Pablo, that's being thrown around a lot, especially when we take a look at South African businesses that really almost don't have a chance of making it past the first year. About 94.6% of businesses fail. Is this, number one, a real statistic? And why is it that that first year to 3 years is so difficult for small business owners?
So look, let's be clear that 94.6% is a global statistic. And most of the data for that comes out of the United States. And the United States is very well geared around businesses, establishing businesses and supporting businesses. So it's a terrifying number, and it is a real number. The reason that most businesses don't succeed in selling is because we never taught how to build a business, scale a business, and get it to a position of selling. We go to school, we taught a bit about entrepreneurship. We go to university, if you study degrees in business, you become a technician. So for example, if you study accountancy, you're a numbers technician. If you study law, you're a contracting technician. An MBA is a consulting technician. Building a business is artisanal. You've got to use your hands. It's about putting one brick on top of the next brick on top of the next brick. And in Sweat.Scale.Sell, I got to a point where I just thought, I'm going to spell it out and make it a playbook, how anyone can take an idea and turn it into what will be, over time, once they've sweated, scaled, something sellable.
And just to wrap it up, Pablo, it's often said by economists, you hear it all the time on the radio especially, where they say that the future of South Africa's economy lies in the success of small businesses. Is there a truth to this? And what more should be done to really make sure that the support is being put behind small businesses and that the playing field enables them to become successful?
You know, Pearl, we could talk for 5 hours on policies that work and policies that don't. I don't believe that our government does nearly enough to create a policy environment that supports small, medium businesses. The fact that we generate most of the jobs, the fact that we have the highest rates of tax contribution to, I hope our Minister, Tito Mboweni, is listening, because we need proper policies put around it. But here's my thing. The one thing you can never get back in life is time. So only focus on the things that you can control. And the one thing that you have 100% control over is your attitude. And your attitude leads to your behavior. And I think that if you're in business, there should only be one attitude, and that is that you set out to build your business into an asset of value. If you adopt that mindset, doesn't matter what government does or doesn't do, doesn't matter what the economy globally does or doesn't do, you will stand out, you'll separate yourself from your competitors, and you will succeed one step in front of the next.
Pablo, thank you. I believe every word you say. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you
Such
for
a great
having
pleasure
me.
meeting you. That's local and international business speaker and author Pablo Fatidis speaking to us about his latest book titled Sweat.Scale.Sell, Build Your Business into an Asset of Value. We're going to take a quick break. Do stay with us. We'll bring you news at the top of the hour.